First, make sure Enable Data Collection is set to Yes, which is enabled by default. This ensures that the SQL client will actively communicate with the database. Under the timing section, we have three parameters. Query timeout is set to 3000 milliseconds, which defines the maximum amount of time the client will wait for a valid response. Retry attempts is set to 3, meaning the client will retry up to 3 times if a query fails. And inter-request delay is set to 0, so there will be no delay between retry attempts. Now, in the connector section, set the type to PostgreSQL. Within the config section, you'll find the connection settings. One useful feature here is the connection string helper, represented by the icon next to the config label. Clicking this icon allows you to paste a pre-built connection string, which can autofill the connection settings. This is especially helpful when copying parameters directly from an external database client or documentation. If you prefer to configure the connection manually, start by setting the host to 127.0.0.1, which indicates that the database is running locally. The port is set to 5434, which is the port used by our PostgreSQL instance in this case. The default database is set to Postgres. Just below that, you'll see the parameters field. This allows you to define additional connection parameters as a single string. These can include settings like SSL modes, application names, or time zone preferences, depending on what your database setup requires. If you don't need any custom options, you can leave this field blank. Following that, we have 3 timeout settings. Connection timeout is set to 15,000 milliseconds, which defines how long the client will wait when trying to establish a connection. Idle timeout is set to 30,000 milliseconds, after which inactive connections will automatically be closed to reduce server load. Reconnect delay is set to 60,000 milliseconds, meaning the client will wait 1 minute before trying to reconnect after a failure. Next, we'll go into the authentication section. Enter the username and password. Now let's take a look at the SSL section. While SSL isn't used in this example, it's available for secure connections if needed. You can choose between embedded to upload certificate files through the web UI or file path to reference them directly from the file system. The reject unauthorized option is set to no, meaning the client will accept self-signed or unverified certificates, suitable for testing environments. For production, it's recommended to set this to yes and provide a valid CA certificate. At the bottom, you'll find fields for the CA certificate, private key, and client certificate, used only if your database requires SSL authentication.